Indiana survives a back-and-forth battle with Seattle as its franchise point guard delivers a night unlike any other in league history. Indianapolis. On a night that began as just another entry on a crowded midsummer schedule, the Indiana Fever and their star point guard turned in a performance that will be remembered long after the final buzzer. Caitlin Clark scored a career-high 45 points and added 10 assists as the Fever outlasted the Seattle Storm 110-107 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, a result that pushed Indiana's record to 15-10 and, more importantly, produced the first 40-point, 10-assist game in WNBA history. It was the kind of night that reshapes a season narrative in real time. The Fever entered the contest amid a stretch of tightly contested games, and Seattle arrived determined to avoid a letdown against a divisional rival with postseason aspirations. What followed was less a chess match than a track meet, with both teams trading runs, dueling from beyond the arc, and refusing to let the other pull away. In the end, it was Clark's singular brilliance, equal parts scoring instinct and playmaking vision, that tipped the balance in Indiana's favor. The WNBA has existed since 1997, and in that time it has seen its share of extraordinary offensive nights. Scorers have gone off for 40-plus points. Distributors have racked up 10 or more assists in a single evening. But the combination of both, a 40-point outburst paired with double-digit assists in the same game, had never happened until Clark did it. That distinction places her performance in rarefied territory, not just for what it says about her scoring touch, but for what it reveals about her willingness to keep creating for teammates even while she was clearly the hottest hand on the floor. Statistically, the achievement underscores just how difficult this specific combination is to pull off. Scorers who chase 40 points typically do so by dominating the ball and prioritizing their own shot creation, which naturally limits the number of easy looks they can generate for others. Playmakers who rack up assist totals in the double digits are usually doing so by facilitating rather than hunting their own offense. Clark's night defied that trade-off entirely. She was aggressive attacking downhill, patient enough to read help defense and kick the ball out, and precise enough to convert her own opportunities at a high clip, all in the same 40 minutes of basketball. From the opening tip, neither team showed any inclination toward a defensive slog. Seattle's offense moved with purpose, using ball movement and spacing to generate open perimeter looks, while Indiana leaned on early transition opportunities to get out in the open floor. Clark was involved from the first possession, probing the defense, using ball screens to create advantages, and mixing pull-up jumpers with drives to the basket. By the midway point of the second quarter, it was clear this would not be a conventional defensive struggle. Both benches emptied timeouts trying to find answers, but neither side could sustain a stop for more than a possession or two. Seattle's guards attacked the rim relentlessly, forcing Indiana's front court into foul trouble, while the Fever countered by pushing pace and attacking any mismatch created by switches. The third quarter is where Clark truly separated the game from the ordinary. She began stringing together stretches where she scored in isolation, then immediately followed with drive and kick reads that found shooters spotting up in rhythm. It was a stretch that combined the pure shot-making that has defined her career with a level of court vision that elevated everyone around her. Teammates began actively working to get open, sensing that a well-timed cut or a hard relocation to the corner would be rewarded with a pinpoint pass. Seattle refused to fold, answering Indiana's runs with runs of their own. The margin seesawed throughout the fourth quarter, with neither team able to build a cushion larger than single digits. It became in effect a possession-by-possession dogfight, with momentum swinging on nearly every trip down the floor. The fourth quarter sequence that sealed it with the score tight in the closing minutes, Indiana turned once again to its floor general. Clark took over down the stretch, combining clutch shot-making with the poise to find open teammates when the defense collapsed toward her. The Fever's ability to close out the extra momentum and hold on for a three-point margin spoke to a level of composure that has become a hallmark of this team in high-leverage moments. Seattle had chances late to tie or take the lead, but Indiana's defense generated just enough stops to protect the advantage. When the final horn sounded, the scoreboard read 110-107 in the Fever's favor, capping off a game that featured 217 combined points and a level of offensive execution that thrilled the home crowd in Indianapolis. 45 points and 10 assists is an extraordinary stat line under any circumstance, but the context adds further weight. This was Clark's career high in scoring, surpassing her previous best mark, and doing so in a game that genuinely needed every one of those points. It wasn't a case of padding a stat sheet in a blowout. Nearly every basket carried weight in a contest decided by a 3-point margin. The assist total is equally significant. 10 assists represents a heavy workload of playmaking even on a night where Clark was clearly the primary scoring option. It suggests that even as she was aggressively hunting her own shot, she remained locked in on reading the defense and finding the extra pass. That dual threat capability, scorer and distributor operating at an elite level simultaneously, is precisely what makes the 40-10 club so exclusive, and why no one had reached it in the league's nearly 3-decade history before this night. For a franchise built around Clark's ability to change the trajectory of games, this performance offered the clearest evidence yet of just how dangerous she can be when everything is clicking. It also reinforced why opposing defenses have found her so difficult to contain. She is equally comfortable beating you with her jumper, attacking the rim, or making the read that gets a teammate a wide-open look. Indiana's win improved its record to 15-10, keeping the team firmly in playoff position as the season approaches its All-Star break. The Fever have dealt with their share of turbulence this year, including stretches without Clark in the lineup, and this performance served as a reminder of the ceiling this roster has when its star player is healthy and rolling. The victory over Seattle also arrived as part of a demanding stretch for Indiana. The Fever were set to play the second game of a back-to-back the very next night, hosting the New York Liberty, meaning there was little time to savor the historic performance before turning attention to the next challenge. That quick turnaround adds another layer of difficulty, testing the team's depth and conditioning after an emotionally and physically taxing win. News of the milestone spread quickly across basketball circles, with fans and analysts alike processing the magnitude of what had just occurred. In a league that has seen a surge of new attention and record-breaking viewership in recent seasons, moments like this one add fuel to the narrative that the WNBA is producing generational talent capable of rewriting record books in real time. Clark's rise has been closely tied to this broader wave of interest in women's basketball, and performances of this caliber only deepen the connection between her individual brilliance and the league's growing cultural footprint. A night that produces a genuine first-in-league history milestone tends to resonate well beyond box scores, generating conversation among casual fans and lifelong followers of the sport alike. For Indiana, the immediate focus shifts to sustaining this level of play through a grueling schedule stretch. Back-to-back games test a roster's depth, and how the Fever respond physically and mentally after such an emotionally charged win will say a great deal about their readiness for a playoff push. For Clark, the record adds another chapter to a career that has been defined by shattering expectations and rewriting what is considered possible on a basketball court. Whether this specific 40-10 combination becomes a recurring feat for her or stands as a singular career highlight, it has already secured its place in WNBA history. As the league heads toward its All-Star festivities later this month, nights like this one, chaotic, high-scoring, and defined by one player's refusal to let her team lose, are exactly the kind of moments that keep audiences tuning in. The Fever escaped Gainbridge Fieldhouse with a win. Seattle left with a hard-fought effort that ultimately came up just short. And the WNBA record book has a new entry that may stand for a very long time. Final score, Indiana Fever 110, Seattle Storm 107. Caitlin Clark, 45 points, 10 assists, career high, first 40-point, 10-assist game in WNBA history.